Take a walk through Denver after dark, and you'll sense the quiet sorrow in the air. People rest on sidewalks, where hope used to thrive. Addiction doesn't merely ravage bodies. It destroys dreams, dismantling lives bit by bit. Behind each tent is a tale that could easily be ours. This goes beyond homelessness. It's a stark reminder of what unfolds when a nation turns a blind eye from fentanyl's chokehold to the deepening wounds of inequality. The streets of Denver are speaking that truth, whether we choose to listen or not. If you're ready to explore those hidden causes and the ways forward, stay with me. Watch until the end. Homelessness in America is escalating at a rate that demands immediate attention. According to HUD's 2024 report, 771,000 individuals lack stable housing, marking an 18% increase in just 1 year. This isn't a minor uptick. It's a nationwide surge affecting cities, suburbs, and rural areas alike. Of these individuals, hundreds of thousands are forced to sleep outdoors, in tents under bridges or on sidewalks, exposed to the elements with little protection. California bears the heaviest burden, followed by New York, with cities like Seattle struggling to keep pace. The crisis stretches far beyond the coasts. In Denver, around 600 people are homeless, a 12% rise from 2023. Approximately 3,000 live outdoors, a slight improvement due to local funding, but still a serious issue for a rapidly growing city. Have you ever walked through downtown at night and noticed how many people are sleeping just feet away from bustling streets? Families now represent a significant portion of the homeless population, including more than 100,000 children. Black, Hispanic, and Native communities are disproportionately impacted, revealing deep-rooted inequities in the system. This crisis isn't due to a lack of money. It's the outcome of decades of decisions underfunded affordable housing, restrictive zoning policies, and a weakened federal safety net.
So we need houses that are low income for people that would be rented to them according to their income.
Despite trillion-dollar budgets, homelessness rarely becomes a top political priority. In 2024, it didn't even make the top 10 issues in Pew polls, overshadowed by concerns like inflation and immigration debates. Meanwhile, the costs are staggering. Tens of billions are spent annually on emergency responses, ER visits, law enforcement, and encampment cleanups. Denver alone allocates millions each year, just to prevent the situation from escalating further. Climate catastrophes such as recent hurricanes are driving even more people into homelessness, highlighting that this problem is growing, not diminishing. Federal action has fallen short. Biden's Build Back, Better initiative promised billions for housing but delivered far less. States face varying challenges, with Texas grappling with migration surges, while California struggles with outdated tax laws limiting funding. The result is a fragmented system filled with good intentions but poor follow-through. So the real question is, how long can we keep treating this as someone else's issue before it reaches our own doorstep? Addiction is one of the most difficult and painful forces driving homelessness in America. It's not the sole cause, but it makes everything more challenging. Across the country, roughly 1/3 of those living unsheltered struggle with substance use, whether it's fentanyl, meth, opioids, or alcohol. These aren't faceless addicts. They're neighbors, veterans, parents, and friends who've fallen through the cracks. Addiction and homelessness create a vicious cycle. A person might lose their job, fall behind on rent, and turn to drugs or alcohol as a way to cope. What begins as a temporary escape quickly evolves into dependency, making it nearly impossible to get back on track. Without a stable place to live, a clean bed, a locked door, a safe space, staying sober becomes an everyday struggle. In Denver, fentanyl has taken a firm grip. Around a quarter of the city's unsheltered population battles it, and property crimes have surged as many pursue their next fix. Nationwide addiction among the homeless costs billions annually in ambulance rides, ER visits, and public health services. Over 30,000 homeless Americans die from overdoses each year, often alone in tense alleys or makeshift camps. This crisis didn't emerge overnight. Decades of policies focused more on punishment than treatment have left lasting wounds. The war on drugs filled prisons but ignored the root causes of addiction. Cuts to mental health funding in the 1980s pushed vulnerable people out of hospitals and onto the streets. Even now, settlement funds from opioid lawsuits trickle slowly to local programs, while stigma in many communities continues to treat addiction as a moral failing rather than a health issue. Yet, there are signs of hope. Programs in Denver, like All in Mile High, combine housing with addiction treatment, helping people stabilize, first, then work toward recovery. The result is fewer ER visits and better long-term outcomes. Other cities are experimenting with mobile clinics and peer support programs, but scaling these efforts will require genuine political will and funding that matches the scale of the problem. Addiction alone doesn't cause homelessness, but it turns temporary hardship into long-term exile. It's a national issue that demands compassion and practical policy. If we overlook it, every other solution becomes just a short-term patch. To fully grasp homelessness in America, we must dig deeper than what meets the eye. Addiction and visible street encampments are just the symptoms, but the causes go much further. This crisis didn't emerge overnight. It's the outcome of decades of economic pressure, social inequality, and political decisions that created a fragile system, one that collapses when life gets tough. At the heart of it all is housing. The United States boasts the largest economy in the world, yet it lacks roughly 4 million affordable homes. This shortage forces millions to the brink, unable to find a place they can afford. Since the pandemic, rents have soared, often outpacing wage growth. In many cities, apartments that once were affordable are now out of reach for working families, seniors, and young people alike. Zoning regulations make this problem worse. Many communities still adhere to outdated laws that limit the construction of new housing, often to protect property values or maintain a certain neighborhood character. These rules, combined with NIMBY not in my backyard sentiments, slow down new housing projects and keep prices high. The result is predictable: fewer homes, higher costs, and more people pushed into precarious living situations. Beneath the housing crisis lies a constant current of poverty. About 13% of Americans, or 40 million people, live below the poverty line. For them, even a minor setback, an illness, a broken car, a missed paycheck can lead to losing their home. The modern gig economy, praised for its flexibility, often provides no benefits, no sick leave, and no job security. Many workers live paycheck to paycheck, one step away from disaster. Racial inequality makes these economic struggles even worse. Generations of redlining, unequal education, and discriminatory policies have left Black, Hispanic, and Native communities with fewer opportunities and less wealth. Though they represent a minority of the population, people of color make up a disproportionate share of the unsheltered. This isn't by chance. It's the result of decades of policies that excluded and marginalized these communities. Meanwhile, the social safety net is stretched thin. Programs like SNAP housing vouchers and rental assistance have not kept up with rising costs. Only 1 in 4 eligible households actually receives housing vouchers. Cuts in underfunding leave millions with little support when emergencies arise. Politics also play a significant role. While massive infrastructure bills pass with trillions for roads and bridges, investment in housing remains minimal by comparison. At the federal level, ambitious plans often get watered down in Congress. At the state level, policies are inconsistent. California's strict tax caps limit funding for schools and housing. Texas is booming economically, but offers minimal tenant protections, leaving many vulnerable to eviction. Natural disasters only exacerbate the pressure. Hurricanes, floods, and wildfires displace families with nowhere affordable to turn. Denver is a prime example of this larger issue. Rapid population growth and influx of newcomers from higher-cost states and a 20% rent hike have strained the city's housing market. Without enough affordable housing, more people end up on the streets. The reality is, homelessness in America is not caused by a single failure. It's a system built over decades that prioritizes profit and property over the basic needs of people. And so the question remains, if this nation has so much wealth, why do we treat safe housing as a luxury? Real change will require a shift in priorities, building more homes, updating zoning laws, and strengthening the safety net. Without these, the cycle will persist, and the dream of stability will remain out of reach for millions. Amid these systemic storms, it's the human voices that break through raw and resonant, reminding us that behind the statistics, there are real lives. Let me share a few of these stories, not as spectacles, but as reflections of our shared vulnerability. These aren't fictional tales. They are echoes from case studies and quiet testimonies collected in shelters from coast to coast, the kind that stay with us long after the headlines fade. First, meet David, an elderly man whose years of honest labor working as a carpenter, until neuropathy stole his stability, culminated in 5 years spent on the freezing sidewalks of Denver. At 66, David receives Social Security, but that meager check is woefully inadequate to cover both rent and essential medications, especially after a recent emergency abdominal aneurysm that landed him in the hospital.
Hopefully Denver has some insight into the problem. It can no longer put our heads in the sand and wish the problem would go away, because it's not going to go away.
The physical toll is matched by a mental one as he struggles with depression and anxiety. He sleeps during the day, explaining that the streets are far too dangerous at night, and he avoids shelters after being robbed following a sudden knee collapse. I paid into Social Security all my life, he says, and it doesn't seem like there's much return for it.
Draw my Social Security, but it's not enough to pay for my rent and my medications right now, so I'm on the street until I can figure out how to find the resources necessary for help.
His story highlights a betrayal not just of a veteran's promise, but of the social contract itself, emphasizing how the lack of affordable housing and basic health care leaves seniors stranded.
In the Bay my whole life, well, besides the last 4 or 5 years.
Then there's Daryl, who recently experienced a period of homelessness in the Denver Aurora area. Daryl's story shifts from personal hardship to a broader critique of the system. When asked about available resources, he points out that the process is so bureaucratically convoluted that seeking help becomes a job in itself. He stresses that real progress requires more than just local programs. It demands federal intervention and emergency housing system, similar to the existing emergency food assistance programs from DHS.
I think the federal government needs an emergency housing system, the same way we have an emergency food system. If you're really down and out, you can go to DHS and get emergency food assistance in $250 or whatever's per diem or however they adjust that.
He advocates for simplifying the process, auditing the funds allocated to programs, as much of the money doesn't actually reach the resources. His journey reveals the frustrating systemic nature of the crisis, urging us to understand that many Americans are just one paycheck or crisis away from the same fate.
Yeah, but everybody over here doing drugs.
By sharing their stories, I'm not seeking pity's cheap reward. Rather, I'm asking for recognition that these lives David's fight against illness, Daryl's perseverance through bureaucratic red tape, mirror our own potential derailed by circumstances. They humanize the abstract, pushing us past sympathy and toward policy changes, expanded access to affordable housing, social security reforms that truly reflect the cost of living, and the creation of a streamlined, audited national emergency housing fund. As elders who have weathered our own storms, we understand that stories don't solve systemic problems, but they ignite the passions of those who can. Amid all the statistics and harsh realities, there are places proving that change is possible. Denver is one of those places. The city has become a kind of laboratory for what works when local leadership, community organizations, and businesses unite toward a common goal. In 2024, the city launched the All in Mile High initiative, a $100 million program that blends public and private funding. Its focus was twofold: to increase shelter capacity and to connect people to essential services. The results were promising. Denver added 1,000 new shelter beds and decreased the number of people living unsheltered by about 10%. These were not just short-term solutions. They included tiny home villages built on the outskirts of the city. Each unit came with a lockable door, shared kitchens, and on-site caseworkers to assist with addiction recovery, job placement, and daily support. Partnerships with businesses played a role as well. Outdoor retailers donated gear to help individuals survive in harsh conditions. Starbucks provided job opportunities for those rebuilding their lives. Combined, these efforts led to a 15% drop in overdose-related ER visits, and more families were reunited faster than before. Denver's experience offers valuable lessons for the rest of the country. Other cities are experimenting as well. HUD's Youth Homelessness Demonstration Program, active in over a dozen cities, has reduced youth homelessness by about 15% through rapid rehousing and trauma-informed care. In Seattle, low-barrier shelters that are open 24/7 provide safer spaces for individuals who would otherwise remain outside. New York City is piloting 24-hour drop-in centers that offer attached mental health services. The private sector is stepping up as well. Amazon, for instance, has pledged $2 billion to support affordable housing in its home regions. Though some critics question the motives, the investment has resulted in thousands of new housing units. While these efforts remain localized, they demonstrate how a blend of public funding, private partnerships, and adaptable programs can make meaningful progress. However, significant challenges remain. Bureaucratic red tape delays projects. Stigma keeps many from seeking help. And in Washington, housing has to compete with defense budgets and political gridlock. Denver's progress, while notable, depends on sustained funding and federal support. Without these, the gains could quickly disappear. There are federal tools ready to be utilized. The Affordable Housing Credit Improvement Act and the End Homelessness Act could expand affordable housing and streamline access nationwide if lawmakers act. Denver's story shows that homelessness is not a foregone conclusion. With targeted investment and creative solutions, communities can drive change. The real question is, what if we scaled these efforts nationwide? It wouldn't resolve the crisis overnight, but it could begin to address it one stable home at a time. As we reflect on all that we've seen, the rising numbers, the hold of addiction, the deep-seated inequality, and the examples of success, one truth becomes clear: homelessness is not inevitable. It's a mirror held up to our nation, showing us how far our policies, priorities, and compassion truly extend. Homelessness in America is not just a statistic. It's a measure of our shared values, whether we still believe in opportunity, dignity, and community for all. The solutions aren't hidden. We know that housing first models, addiction treatment, equitable housing policies, and stronger safety nets work. Cities like Denver have shown us that meaningful progress is possible. What's missing is scale, urgency, and collective will. This is where each of us comes in. Real change doesn't only take place in Washington. It happens in local communities, in city halls, and through everyday citizens who refuse to turn a blind eye. It could be as simple as calling your senator, backing a housing initiative, volunteering with a local nonprofit, or engaging in honest conversations that bring this issue into the light. As 2025 approaches, the nation faces pivotal decisions. We can choose to accept homelessness as part of the fabric of our society, or we can demand better together. America has the resources. It has innovation. What it needs now is the resolve to act with compassion and courage. promise of this country has always been that no one is left behind. If we unite, that promise can be realized again. It starts with us today.